Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, hey, and welcome to the iLife Academy Coaching Podcast. This is Abdul Shahid, and I'm just going to plug this, but if you are really interested in creating like emotional resilience, like you've been struggling with your own emotions, emotional turbulence, whatever it is that you are troubled with, it always affects your emotions and that spirals you down. If you are struggling with that, go check out QuranicConnection.tv/transformation, or just go check out QuranicConnection.tv and you will see the transformation program there. Now, why do I mention that right at the beginning? Because in this episode number 34, I want to talk to you about why you're experiencing these roller coasters. Like, why do we experience these roller coasters? Why do we experience this negative spiraling down, like staying stuck and not being able to overcome procrastination, or you've got incessant negative thoughts that are constantly harassing you and you feel like you can't escape them? Why does that happen? Like, where does that experience come from? So I want to talk to you a little bit about that and the connection between that and your life. Because whatever's going on in your life, the results and the fruits of your mind, your action, your feelings, like the results of all of that is going to be very, very apparent to you. And you're going to realize why you have what you have in your life if you understand this one podcast. So here goes. Now, like let's ask the first question. Who are you? You are the person that is observing your mind. You're the person that's observing your mind. And what I want you to understand, like, is that, you know, in that split second between thoughts, you're thinking about your family or you're thinking about your work, and you go from thinking about work to thinking about family, or you think about one thing and then you go to thinking about another. Now, in between those two thoughts, there's a bit of silence. There's a bit of pause. Now, that pause there's nothing there. So what is it that you're doing in that moment when you go from one thought to another? That pause there is just the gap between the different things that you are thinking about and you are focusing on. And you're not your thoughts. You are actually the one observing your thoughts. Like, you're the one that's in a conscious state. You know, you're awake to your mind. You're awake to what's going on outside of you. And that's what, like, this is a little bit deep, but I want you just to think about it like this. You are, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, like, you are the nafs. And there are different states of the nafs, but you are the nafs. You're the person, right? And you're the one that's observing life. You're the one that's observing your thoughts. And you're not your thoughts. How do we know this? We know this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to take refuge, like to seek protection from the whispers of the shayateen, like the whispers of the shaitan. So, like, this might be things that other people are saying to you. This might be things that you're just hearing, or these negative thoughts that you have, and you don't recognize it. But those thoughts, they're not you. It's not you doing that thinking. It's you experiencing those thoughts. Those thoughts, they're coming through your mind. They're coming through your mind. And if it's waswas, like whispering, like negative, whatever it is, like, you're gonna be observing that. But what happens with most people is that they become their thoughts. They absorb their thoughts, and they think that this is their mind and this is them. And that's why you hear people say stuff like, you know, I'm thinking, sure, like, I'm observing my thoughts, if you understand it like that from here on. Like, when you say I'm thinking, I'm observing my thoughts. But you cannot understand it as though I am my thoughts, because the minute you understand it as I am my thoughts, then you've got a problem. Because if you've got negative chatter, that internal chat always telling you that there's something wrong with you, that you're not good enough, or that someone else is better than you, or that you're looking at other people and you're thinking badly about them, you're thinking about what they're thinking about, and you're making up these stories in your mind. And if you believe those thoughts to be real, then you've got a real problem. And this is where all relationship problems come from, like problems with stress and anxiety, problems with depression, like all of these things, they can be rooted back to like how we're experiencing our thoughts, right? So here's the thing. You are the person watching those thoughts. Those thoughts, they are the thing that is passing your mind. It's the content of your mind. And then your feelings, they come together with those thoughts. So whenever you have a feeling, you can guarantee, like if you have a happy feeling, you can guarantee there's a happy thought there. If you look upstairs into your mind, you're going to see a happy thought. If you have those moments where you think about a loved one, and there's a memory that comes to mind, right? That's a thought. So the memory comes to mind, and you remember something that was funny, something that happened. You were out, you were doing something, but you remember something funny, and a little smile comes to your face, and you feel happy. That feeling there is being generated in your mind. It's being generated inside of you. You have a thought that you're focusing on that creates that feeling. If all of a sudden you remember something horrific, in an instant that feeling can change. In an instant you can fall into a feeling of fear and anxiety. And if you dwell in that thought, if you dwell in that feeling, then it will intensify and it'll grow. Whatever you focus on grows. So we start off with you, the observer. And I'm going to keep running you through this because I really want you to get this. You, the observer. And then we go to the thoughts and experiences that you're having. The experience is the feeling. The thoughts is what's bringing about those feelings. And those feelings, they then go on to becoming your motivation. They're the driving force behind your behavior. Like you will either be motivated to take, action or behave in a particular way. And if those feelings are negative, the likelihood is you're going to try and avoid the things that you're thinking about, the things that you think will make you feel like that. You don't like that feeling, so you're going to go for avoidance, and you're going to try and avoid it. And your behavior will be that you will, if you're having negative thoughts about a person, you're going to avoid getting eye contact with them, or you're going to avoid, going to a place where you might encounter them, or you're going to avoid like talking to them. If you have a negative feeling about yourself, you might focus on keeping yourself busy with other people, like constantly keeping your mind distracted so that you don't have to focus on yourself. Because the minute you start focusing on yourself, you start having that negative feeling. You start remembering all the things you haven't done. You start beating yourself up for not following through and procrastinating, or, you start giving yourself a real hard time because you see yourself in a negative way. So you avoid doing that by indulging in, lots of external things. Like you're going to go out and you're going to busy your mind with other things. So you keep yourself distracted. You see, your behavior now is being shaped by your feelings. And that's what happens every single time. So where do we start off with? We start off with you, the observer, you, the one that's observing your thoughts. Then we go to your thoughts, those, it may be whispers, it may be anything triggering those thoughts. Like it could be memories, right? And those thoughts are going through your mind, and they create the feelings that become your motivation or your demotivation, your sadness or your happiness or your fear or your anxiety. And the feelings that you feel, the physical sensations that you feel in your body, those are directly connected to your feeling. Like it's like a chemical reaction within you, and you feel this inside of you. Now, this is the sequence of events. This is how life plays out. This is how we experience life. This is what we understand as the science of the nafs. The science of the nafs, a science of the person, of the human mind and body. And this is directly connected to your spiritual state. Because if your spiritual state is not a good one, like if you don't feel spiritually connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what you're going to find is that you're going to be constantly looking to fill that gap. There's something missing. That inner peace and contentment is not there. You're going to be constantly looking to fill it. And the way that we humans try and fill it is that we go out into the world looking for things, like trying to find achievements and, whatever it is. Like some of us look at academia, some of us look at business, some of us look at money, some of us look at physical fitness. We all look at different things and we try and fill the gap. But that gap is never filled. You can achieve all of those things and you're going to find that it's still there. There's something still missing. And you're unable to feel spiritually connected. And these are two different things, but like I want you to recognize the connection between them. Like because the spiritual connection and the well-being of a human being is directly connected. It's not possible that we could live without our source of life, our source of well-being. Well-being is something that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's something that is the Creator, the All-Merciful, is the one that instills that sakina, that peace and that tranquility, that calmness inside of us. And the more we go out, the less we find it. Because we think we're going to find it somewhere out there. So we try and control our environment. We try and control everything around us in the hope that we can ease that feeling or that discomfort within us. And you're never going to find it out there because it's something internal. It's a connection between you and your Rabb, between you and your Lord. And these are the two parts of a human being. The science of the nafs has three focuses. Like you hear me talking about this, right? And I'm going to keep talking about this because this is the fundamental need of the human being. Every human being requires this. We need a spiritual connection because it nourishes your soul. The mind and the soul being at a state of ease. And that happens by understanding how the mind, feelings, body, how it is all connected, how it works. Like, how do you create results in life? How do you experience your life? Because you could be someone that has everything in life, yet you are truly unhappy. Or you could be someone that has far less and be extremely happy. Because there is no connection between how much stuff you have and how happy you are. Happiness, contentment, joy, tranquility, inner peace, it all comes from the connection, the spiritual connection, and having a calm state of psychological well-being, like being in a state of when you find that you're in a bad state and then you come to a calm and you stay in that calm for a little while, you start to get bored. Like this happens with a lot of people. You start to get bored and you start to self-sabotage. You start to send yourself back in one way or another because you start to look for things again. And that thing that we're always looking for, the inner contentment, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to this as a toma'nina. And this is the thing that we all need. So what is it that you and I need? We need the medicine of the soul. We need the medicine of the mind, and we need the medicine of the body. You find all of this like encompassed all of this rolled into one in the science of the nafs. That's what it's all about. Like, that's what I use in my coaching, in when I'm working with my clients, because I know that that's what we need as human beings. It doesn't matter which part of the earth you are from. Like, as a human being, we need these three things. Like, without it, like, we have an imbalance in our lives, and we struggle because of it. And whenever you struggle, you know you're going to have some toxic thoughts, and those toxic thoughts are creating, feelings that you do not enjoy experiencing. And when that happens, your behavior reflects. Your behavior is like a direct result of the way you are feeling. Like, just ask yourself that. When you're feeling down and out, how do you behave? Do you mope around? Do you cut people off? Do you misbehave? Do you shout and scream? Do you close down and not talk to anyone? Do you avoid everyone? Avoid your responsibilities? What about when you're in a really great mood, like you're loving it? You love it, you're really enjoying your day. How do you behave then? Do you smile a lot? Do you go out and greet people? Do you spend time with people? Do you laugh and joke? Do you feel like exercising and running? Do you feel like being active? Because when we are in a great mood, we feel like being active. And when we're not in such a great mood, we feel like being inactive. And when you're not in a great mood for a long period of time, you end up feeling stuck. Whereas when you're feeling in a great mood a lot of the time, you end up being productive and achieving a lot. And in that state, we call ourselves peak performers, and we're like, going out to achieve a lot in the world. But even in that state, ask anyone who's in that state, they're always having to manage their mind. Because you and I, we all have the same challenges. The challenge of the human mind, the challenge of the spiritual connection or disconnection, rather. And this is what this is all about. So anyway, I'm gonna leave you that. I wanted to give you like a lowdown of how the human experience is working. Like, this works for everyone. It doesn't matter what faith that you're from. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're from. Like, we human beings, we're designed in the same way, and we have those three needs. Everyone has. There's a need for the spiritual medicine. That's the connection with the most merciful. There's a need for a connection with themselves and being aware of how your experience of life is coming through. Like, why you're experiencing what you feel. And when you understand that, you can decide how you want to experience life. And if you can decide on how you want to experience life, then what happens is that all of those physical challenges that you would otherwise have, you're able to circumvent some of those. You're able to maneuver around them. You're able to manage them. And you can have an optimal lifestyle like that. But without an understanding of these three things, we are challenged and we struggle because of it. If you want to know why you struggle in any area of your life, I can guarantee you that it's going to come back to one of these three things without any shadow of doubt. And that is the science of the nafs. That is what we use, the tool that we use, the understanding, the comprehension that we have to have in order to become the optimal best versions of ourselves. So anyway, I'm going to leave you on that note. I didn't want to make this too long, but if you want more and you want more of an understanding, go check out QuranicConnection.tv. Check out the transformation, and I'll speak to you soon. Assalamu alaikum.